This video does not contain any spoilers. This is a Korean thriller movie called The Phone. Well, The Phone is the English translation of the title because it's online now with English subtitles. And it comes down to this. I'm not going to reveal the end. The concept is as follows. You have this successful police officer, right? He works for the DA and he needs to continue with the case, and he wins the case. The case had to do with some corporation that violated some standard. Now, he received death threats. His wife was fed up with it, but the husband didn't even bother with it because he had his success. Things were going well for him, and he even got a promotion at the job. He was not, he was not negative, he was not belittling people. He was kind to his staff. He didn't have a negative attitude. But hold on. One day, he gets a message that his wife was found dead. She was murdered at home. The other police officers told him it's due to a burglary. Well, even the dash cam of his own car was robbed, because on the dash cam they would have seen they would have seen the license plate of the vehicle that the burglars used. Now that happened in 2014. In 2015, he received a phone call, and he hears his wife at the other end of the line, and he thinks, how is this possible? It's 2015, and now my wife is calling me, talking to me about things that happened in 2014. So he asked the wife about the date, and it was confirmed. It was his wife from the past calling him into the future. A very weird concept, I know it. But hold on. It gets better. The husband knows what's about to happen because he's in the future, right? He knows what happened in the past. So he managed to convince the wife, who is still in 2014, that she's talking to her husband who's in the future. And the husband explained that she's about to be murdered. The wife realized this, and she complies with him to prevent the murder. And you can see through the movie, anytime the wife listens and doesn't go somewhere or does something different, the past changed and it had an effect on the future. And he experienced the effect. For example, the wife's car had a scratch in the front because she had a car crash somewhere in the past. Now, instead of her having that crash, she only had friction with another car. So now there was a scratch on the back. And now in the present, in the movie, at least in the present 2015, the husband sees that the wife's car indeed had a scratch, but now it was from the front, it was in the back set of the front. So there were ripples in time that changed the future. Better said the present. But there was one big problem. The wife was not there when the ripple effect happened. So that means she still got murdered somehow. Now the rest, you have to watch for yourself. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Why am I talking about this movie? Some of you may not be into Korean movies, maybe not even in the thriller genre, but I'm using this as a parable. Just like in this movie, this successful police officer. Okay, this successful police officer, he did not look at the bigger picture. Well, call him a police officer, probably some judicial officer. I don't know, maybe the Korean legal system's a bit different than the one in the West, but anyway, this guy who had the ability to arrest people, who had police officers below him, who also went to court to defend others, he did not look at the bigger picture. He didn't. His wife died, was tragic. Remember, and he had a daughter. The daughter had to grow up without a mother. So when this thing happened that his wife called him from the past, he realized, hold on a minute, I can prevent her death. And he wanted to do that because he wanted his family back. He was only focused on escaping the present, which was that his wife was dead and his daughter was growing up without a mother, and all the consequences that came with that. His daughter was just entering puberty, so it was a very hard time. He wanted to escape all of that, and that's understandable. And now you have an ability to set things straight. It's understandable that he would take that. But he never asked the question, why someone wanted to kill his wife. He never asked the question what the context was of the crime. Throughout the movie, he finds out that there's more going on. And it's only when he deals with the root of it that eventually the past recovers, and in the present, he has both his wife and his kids, and nobody even remembers anything of a homicide case because it never happened. The wife wasn't killed. Look, this is just a movie, okay? I know that in real life, things like this won't happen, okay? Again, I'm using this as a parable. Look at you. Look at yourself for a moment. Are you doing what this successful character did? Because in the beginning of the movie, it's clear that he doesn't want to hear anything about death threats because they became common. He never actually thought that someone would actually kill his wife. And it seems as if, almost a year after his wife was dead, he forgot that he received death threats. Look, in real life out there, this is how it often goes with worldly people. Learn from this. Worldly people, or let's say common people, often, when they get a promotion or when things go smooth for them, they lose sight of the bigger picture. They're only focused on the smooth success they're having, and that's the only thing that exists for them. They tend to forget people from their past. They tend to forget about other actors around them. They often don't ask the right questions. They got their smooth success, things are working out for them, so they want to be grateful, they don't want to complain, so they get along with it. Now let me tell you, I'm not advocating murmuring. Absolutely not. I'm not advocating people going around in circles complaining. However, there are times you need to ask the big questions. There are times you ought to look beyond. Or else you will only go from one shift to another and no actual change. And that's how it is with many folks. They get relief from one thing and they end up in worse. So they're like vagabonds, going from relief to relief. And often only gets worse until they collapse or they're killed or they just perish. You need to look at the bigger picture and deal with the root of stuff. Only when you deal with the root of things will actual change occur. Now this video that I make here is not about you changing the past. I'm not even going into that, okay? Because we know this movie that I've used as a parable is a thriller fiction. We know that. Just remember the following. The pagan rulers of this world, when they produce movies, they show you what's going on. That's what they do. They show you what's going on. And this movie shows you how common people are. It shows you how many common people are trapped by Satan. Satan comes with smooth success. Satan doesn't even appear to you. You don't have to sign a deal. Sometimes you just get the smooth success. Things just bang, 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 just happen like that. But then, when you're in the how do I say, when you're in the mood, when you're in the swing and things are just going like that, bang, suddenly tragedy happens that you didn't see coming. And now you have long-term damage due to the tragedy. And most people never recover from that tragedy. That's how Satan takes people out. That's how Satan can take a whole community out, by bringing genocide to a community, or by bringing sickness or diseases in a community. You really need to learn to look at the bigger picture. Okay? For example, if you remember that when you were a kid, your parents often moved from place to place, and then you find out as an adult that they always had issues with the neighbors. Just look at your parents. If they were not horrible people, why did they move so often? And remember, even horrible people tend to remain in one location, despite how horrible they are. So then you look at it and ask, why is it that always my parents got issues with neighbors everywhere they went, everywhere they lived? And then, because you asked the big question, now you realize that it really isn't about your parents, there's something more going on. And then you realize that it's a pattern. Then you want to trace the pattern. What's the origin of the pattern? And then your grandmother told you that when she was a little girl, her father was kicked out from his parental home because the parents didn't approve of his marriage to what is your great-grandmother. And since then, your grandmother went from place to place, and she was even sexually molested several times on its way. And now, after you hear this, you realize, the dysfunctional cycle started there. And now you realize that throughout the generations, the cycle went on and on and on. And now you realize why you encounter much difficulties in your finances. Even the people that are helping you out, now I'm not talking about friends and family, even people from institutions that help you out financially think, hold on a minute, why do you encounter so many financial attacks on your life? One atheist even told you need to look deeper into this. And now you understand where it comes from. So now you go to the root, you break the pattern, you remove yourself from people who are enabling the pattern towards you, and now suddenly all the financial hardship is gone. You looked at the bigger picture. You asked the big question. Most people never ask the big question. And the big question is simply, what spiritual actor is behind this? I made a video about this before. I'm not repeating messages. I'm reminding you. And I'm giving you different perspectives on the message. Ask the big question. Too often we ask little questions. Little questions relates to we wanted to escape something. We want to be left alone. We want things to be smooth and easy all the time. No. Small questions are related to relief seeking, relate to self. We need to look at the bigger picture, being Christ-centered, and ask big questions. Not necessarily towards others, but towards ourselves. So that we will look deeper into things and see what's going on. It's because most people don't ask big questions that Satan can easily deceive them all the time. Yes, all the time. There are folks who are deceived all the time because they never ask the big questions. Some people, without being aware of it, they endanger their own children or grandchildren because they don't look at the bigger picture. Well, I wasn't advocating Korean thriller movies here, but if you want to watch them, you can watch them. Just remember, in many Korean and Japanese movies, they show you the paranormal as it is. They're more blunt in it than Hollywood. But anyway, that's it for this video. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.